When a guy has experienced a lot of rejections from women, or he feels like he's being overlooked by women and they don't really seem to be interested in him, he may get to the point where he asks the question, why don't women like me? Right? What is going on? And no matter what he tries, it really doesn't seem to change. Women just don't really seem to like him, and he's confused as to why. So I'm going to explain the possible reasons why that will happen for a guy. And if you're new here and don't know who I am, my name is Dan Bacon, and I used to be confused about why women didn't like me. I then figured out how to make women want me, and it allowed me to enjoy my choice of women. I went on to enjoy my choice of women for over 10 years, and sometimes I stopped to have a girlfriend, but mostly I enjoyed having multiple women in my life at once. At times, I even had women competing to be my number one girlfriend, and that felt good after being a guy who wasn't even looked at, wanted, or desired by women. I was simply overlooked. Yet as a result of figuring out what I now teach men, women felt irresistibly attracted to me, irresistibly drawn to me, and that was a lot of fun. And eventually, when I felt ready, I happened to meet my perfect girl, and I immediately stopped seeing the 4 other women who were in my life at the time and settled down with her. And her and I have been together ever since. So now that you know a little bit about who I am, here's the first reason why a guy will get to a point in his life where he asks the question, why don't women like me? He is expecting women to react to him in the same way that he reacts to them. So you may have noticed that when women walk through the world, they pretty much don't even look at men. It's like men don't even exist. And a mistake that a lot of guys make is thinking that it's only happening to them, right? The guy walks through the world and he looks at women and he finds them attractive. And he could just look at a woman and say, yes, I want to have sex with her. Guys, look at women like that. They turn their heads. It's men who are turning their heads to look at women. And a woman will rarely turn her head to check a man's butt out or to check his legs out. Sometimes a woman will look at a very attractive man, a very handsome man, but in almost all cases, if she's pretty, she'll just look at him and then look away as though she's not interested because she wants to see that he has the confidence to walk over and talk to her and the interest level to walk over and talk to her and actually have a conversation and move things forward, right? She doesn't want to just be throwing herself out there to any guy who she finds attractive because she knows that most men will have sex with a woman if she opens up to it. So she would rather wait for a man who has the confidence to walk over and talk to her and the interest level to keep the conversation going and then shoot his shot. Yet a lot of guys don't realize that, and they walk through the world thinking, well, why don't women check me out in the way that I check them out? And one of the additional reasons is that the sexual pursuit area in a man's brain is 2.5 times larger than the sexual pursuit area in a woman's brain. And what that means is that men are the ones who are literally physically wired to be on the pursuit, the hunt, to have that drive to go after sex more than women. And you can't expect women to suddenly start behaving like men when they're simply not wired like that. It's just not going to happen where women suddenly change and start checking men's butt out, walking over and saying, hey, do you have a girlfriend? Hey, what's your number? And so forth. It's just not going to happen. So it's important to understand that while you do react with instant attraction to women because that's how you're wired and you feel that urge to go after something sexually, women aren't wired that way. And if you're expecting women to react to you in the same way that you react to them, then you may be thinking that they don't like you. When in reality, a lot of those women would like you if you walked over and talked to them and made them feel attracted. The second reason why a guy might be asking, why don't women like me, is that he doesn't realize that women often behave as though they're not interested when talking to a man they like. Now, this might seem a bit crazy to some guys, right? If she's interested, why is she behaving as though she's not interested? Right? They're talking and they're having a good conversation, but she's acting like she's not interested. What's going on there? Well, it happens for a number of reasons, and one of them is that many women are afraid of being rejected, right? They don't want to show too much interest, and then the guy feels like, oh yeah, I've got this girl, and then he rejects her or stops showing interest in her because all he really wanted was to be able to see that he could get her to like him. And now that she's shown a lot of interest in him, he stops showing interest in her and maybe even stops pursuing her, so she then feels rejected. Another reason is that if a woman seems too keen to get into a relationship with a guy or too keen to get a result with a guy, it can make some guys start to look at her as being lower value or desperate or feel like they don't really need to treat her that well because she's just so keen, right? I can basically do anything now and this girl wants to be with me. So it may cause her to not be treated as well as she wants to be treated, right? So rather than putting herself into that type of situation, she will not show a lot of interest, and she may even behave as though she's not that interested to hopefully make the guy feel like he has to try a bit harder, and in the process of doing that, he will hopefully value her more. Sometimes it's just a temporary passing phase in the interaction that will go away if you can just pass the test of remaining confident or remaining interested in her and not getting annoyed that she isn't being reassuring of her interest, right? You're able to continue believing in yourself and you have a genuine interest in her, so you're not running away and leaving the interaction. So when she's able to see that, then she starts to feel a little bit less worried about getting rejected or wasting her time with a guy who doesn't really like her. So she then drops her guard and starts showing you more interest. Number 3, he makes women feel like they are too good for him. So when you're interacting with a woman, it's either going to be you or her who has more status, value, or power. Whatever word you want to use is fine. But essentially, that's going to be decided between you and her. And in most cases, what men do when they are the sort of men who women don't like is that they give the woman the impression that she is too good for them. And therefore, she feels like she has too much status, value, or power over him. And a woman will feel that way if a guy, for example, seems too easily impressed by her, right? He's basically already sold on her, right? As soon as he meets her, right? She doesn't have to do anything. He is seeing her as this high value, high status, attractive woman that he would be so lucky to get a chance with. Or he is coming across in a way where his energy and his behavior, his body language, or even what he's saying suggests that he's hoping to be chosen by her. He's hoping to be given a chance by her. And the thing is, when it comes to status, value, power, whatever you want to refer to it as, many guys make the mistake of thinking that they need to have achieved a lot of things in life, or they need to be very good looking in order to feel like they have value in comparison to the woman, because they are interacting with her and they feel so attracted to her. So therefore they think, well, I need to have a lot of value in order to make her feel attracted to me in return. Yet then another guy will come along who hasn't achieved much or anything in life and isn't even that good looking, and he won't think that about himself. He will think that he is worthy of a woman like her. And some guys may think, well, how could he think that? He's shorter than that woman. How could he think that he is good enough for her? Or he doesn't have big muscles. How can he think that he is good enough for her? What about these guys? How could they think that they're good enough for the woman? What's going on? How could he think that he deserves a woman like that, even though he's got a casual job or a part-time job or a low-paying full-time job? What's going on? Well, your status when you're interacting with a woman is something that you decide on yourself, right? Whether you look at her as being an equal, you being less than in terms of status and value in comparison to her, you being slightly higher, or you being a lot higher in terms of status and value in comparison to her. So, say for example, a woman is interacting with 2 men and they both have the same level of looks. One of them is working a part-time job and hasn't really achieved much in life, and the other is working a full-time job and is doing quite well. The guy who's working a part-time job sees himself as being a bit higher in status and value in comparison to the woman who is attractive, and that's something that he has decided himself. And as a result, he's able to look at her with confidence. He's able to believe in himself, and he's able to say what he wants to say, be more laid back, easygoing, crack some jokes if he wants to. He's not afraid because he feels like he has a bit more value than her. Yet, the guy who has a full-time job and has been doing quite well, he looks at her as being higher value than him, higher status than him. And as a result, he feels nervous. He doubts himself. He worries about saying the wrong thing. And as a result of that, he runs out of things to say and can't keep the conversation going and keep it interesting with her. It feels awkward because he's overthinking things. He's worrying. He's thinking, well, if I say that, she might not like it, right? She's a quality woman. She's a high value woman. She's out of my league. I'm going to have to really try hard to hopefully impress her. And the woman then senses that from the guy who has the full-time job and is doing quite well. She senses his self-doubt, his insecurity, and that's not attractive to her. Women aren't attracted to self-doubt, insecurity, or to put it another way, emotional weakness in men, fear. They're not attracted to that. It's not something that attracts them sexually and romantically. Whereas the other guy who has a part-time job and sees the woman as being a little bit beneath him in terms of value or status, he is displaying confidence. He's displaying self-belief. He's displaying self-assurance. And as a result, she naturally feels attracted to him because women are attracted to emotional strength. They're not attracted to emotional weakness, they're attracted to emotional strength. So while on paper, it would be a better decision for her financially to get with the guy who has a full-time job and seems to be doing well, that's not going to feel very good for her, being in a relationship with him, right? He's potentially going to be very insecure, overprotective, jealous, needy, and so on. And that's going to be a bit of a nightmare experience for her. Whereas the guy who is more confident makes her feel what she really wants to feel. She wants to feel attracted. And most women are happy to get with a guy who seems to have some potential, and they hope that one day they may be able to build a better life together. They may be able to have a great life together, but the guy doesn't have to be truly successful first in order to get with her. If a guy needed to do that, then no guy at school, university, or working a casual, part-time, or low-paying full-time job would ever be able to get a girlfriend. And by the way, this was backed up by the largest ever study on human mating preferences, which included 37 cultures from around the world. It was found that men didn't already have to be successful in order to be attractive to women. Instead, women feel attracted to men who seem like they would do okay, or do well, or do very well in the future. And for many women, they're not thinking about huge success or anything like that. Instead, they're just hoping that together they can build a better life together, that they'll be able to do well or do okay, or in some cases do very well. They are trying their best, and hopefully they'll be able to build a great life together. So it's important for you to understand that for most women, not all, but for most women, you don't already have to be successful in life in order to be attractive. Instead, most women are attracted to men who seem like they have some potential. Don't get me wrong though, there are women out there who only want a guy who's already successful and rich or even famous, right? Women like that do exist, but the vast majority of women will happily get into a relationship with a guy who makes them feel attracted, who makes them feel like they want to impress him. They want to maintain a relationship with him. They want to be a good woman for him, rather than a guy who is looking at them as being way higher value than them and feeling like he needs to do a lot in order to hopefully impress them. And as a result, he naturally feels insecure about his value. And sometimes a woman will get into a relationship with a guy who is insecure and does look at her as being way higher value than him, but she will often end up regretting it. The reason why is that sometimes if a guy feels like she is way too good for him, it will result in him becoming very jealous, overprotective, clingy, and potentially even controlling when in a relationship. So if a woman has had that experience in a relationship before, or she just instinctively knows that it will likely end up in that way, she would rather pick a guy who seems more confident in himself because he seems like he has better relationship potential. She will then hope that a relationship works out between him and her, even though he only has the potential to be more successful than the other guy who has already achieved more, but is insecure. Women have to weigh up those sort of things, and at the end of the day, most women would rather pick a guy who seems confident and seems like he wouldn't become an insecure, overly protective, jealous, needy, clingy guy in a relationship. So if you're interacting with a woman and you feel amazed by her appearance, just make sure that you don't then look at her as being higher value than you simply based on how she looks. A question I have for you at this point is, do you think you could honestly look at a woman like this and think that you are higher value than her? If not, I'll let you know that there is a way to feel higher value than an attractive woman, and it comes from a mindset that I teach at Master Attraction in the first lesson on confidence. This is the mindset that I used to feel worthy of attractive women, even though I was driving around in an old Toyota Corolla that wasn't secondhand but maybe third or fourth hand by that point. And I was paying it off, and I was essentially wearing the same clothes every time I went out to meet women. It didn't matter though, because I was using the mindset that instantly makes you more confident around attractive women. And this particular mindset makes you increasingly confident every day for the rest of your life. So if you are interested in learning that confidence mindset, make sure you check out Master Attraction after watching this video. The next reason why a guy will be asking, why don't women like me, is that he tries to win women over with traits that don't make women feel sexually attracted. So he'll essentially be displaying traits that can make a woman like a guy as a person, but that's different to her feeling sexually attracted. For example, rather than him having the courage to occasionally say something a little daring in the conversation, he'll just play it safe and focus on being nice. Alternatively, rather than expressing his raw masculinity in the way that he talks, moves, reacts, and even feels in the moment, he will focus on only showing his gentle, soft side in the hope that the woman looks at him as a harmless, innocent man and then wants him because of that. And finally, another example is that he'll focus on always having serious, logical, and intellectual conversations with her. In some cases like that, a guy wants to showcase his strength, which is his intelligence, right? He wants to be able to show the woman how academically intelligent he is, or philosophically intelligent, politically intelligent, or just wants to be able to show her how smart he is in a general sense, right? He's so well put together. Everything he says makes total sense. He speaks in a very logical way, very well thought out, very well put together, and he hopes the woman then thinks, well, wow, this guy is so intelligent. He's so smart. I want to be with him because of that. Yet the thing is, while women do appreciate intelligence, it's not the thing that makes a woman feel sexually attracted. When a man can make a woman feel sexually attracted by displaying traits that actually make her feel sexually attracted, such as flirting, then in many cases the woman will get with the guy if he's intelligent, a bit simple, or even a bit dumb, right? A bit of a doofus, right? She'll still get with the guy because she's feeling so attracted to him. Now, that doesn't mean a guy needs to dumb himself down or be a doofus and speak in a very simple way in order to get women to like him. Instead, if you are an intelligent man, women appreciate that after you make them feel sexually attracted, right? You've got to make women feel sexually attracted to you first. A lot of guys don't realize that, and they try to win women over with other traits, such as being a very innocent sort of guy, being very gentle, being sweet and extra nice and extra polite to the woman, thinking that it's going to get her to really like him as a person, and then she's going to want him. So, for example, if he's talking to a woman who actually does like him, and she then touches him on the arm or the leg, he will almost always act as though he didn't even notice it, and he's just having a nice conversation with her, and that couldn't mean that she wants him sexually. She touched him on the leg. That can't mean that she's trying to flirt with him, right? Wrong. When a woman likes a guy, and she's feeling attracted to him, and she touches him on the arm or she touches him on the leg, something like that, she's usually trying to create a moment there, usually trying to show some interest in a subtle, flirtatious way that she is willing to break the physical barrier there between him and her, or she sees him as a guy that she is attracted to and she's not worried about him potentially thinking that she's flirting with him because she does like him. When a woman doesn't like a guy, when she's not feeling attracted to him, she will almost always avoid any physical contact. She doesn't want to give the guy the wrong impression. So if a woman touches a guy on the arm or the leg and he knows how to make women feel attracted, he will say something like this. Getting touchy-feely already, hey? Jeez, you move fast. Or, touching me on the leg, hey? You little flirt, you. Or, touching me on the leg already, hey? You're very flirtatious, but in a subtle way. I like it. Or, you're such a little flirt, aren't you? I like it. Or, the old touch him on the arm move. Subtle flirting. I like it. Or, the old touch him on the leg move. Very subtle flirting. I like it. Just make sure you don't start touching around this area. That's out of bounds for now, okay? Relax. Calm down. Or, the old touch him on the arm move. Smooth. You little flirt, you. She will then laugh and realize that you understand what's going on, right? She's trying to subtly flirt with you. And the thing is, even if a woman wasn't trying to flirt with you, and she was just being friendly, right? She was talking to you, having a good conversation, and then she touched you on the arm or she touched you on the leg, you can still create sexual attraction from that and turn it into a back and forth flirtatious exchange by assuming that she's trying to flirt with you, right? You playfully assume that. You playfully misinterpret what's going on as, oh, someone's getting very touchy-feely there. Settle down, girl. You have to take me out on a date first, all right? We're not going to have sex tonight. You're moving very fast. And women find that very funny because it's not the sort of thing that 99% of guys have the courage to do. Most guys are on their best behavior, hoping to get a chance from a woman. They're looking at her as being above them, and they're also afraid to show any sexual interest or afraid to show that, hey, we might actually become lovers, right? We might actually have sex, right? The guy just wants to act like he has no sexual interest in her, that there's nothing that could potentially happen between him and her, and he just wants to have a nice conversation with her, keep the conversation going, get to know her, and so on. But when a guy approaches interactions with women in that way, he usually ends up in the friend zone. And when he then asks for the woman's number, the woman will say something like, why do you want my number? Or why should I give you my number? Because she's wanting to find out why he has gone from just having a friendly, neutral conversation with her to suddenly saying, can I get your number? Or can I take you out sometime? And to her, it's like, well, why? because there's no sexual tension between him and her. There's no flirting going on. There are so many different things that you can say and do to flirt with women and create that understanding between you and her that, oh, right, this isn't just about having a nice conversation, because many women do actually assume that if a guy's just talking to them in a friendly way, that he doesn't find them that sexually attractive, or he has another girl that he likes and he's not looking to date a new woman or get into a relationship with a new woman or have sex with a new woman. He's already got a girl that he likes and he's just talking to her in a friendly way. Alternatively, what a woman thinks is that if they just continue to talk to each other and there's no flirting at all, then the dynamic between him and her is just more of a friendly dynamic, and it would kind of feel awkward to now kiss or have sex. So rather than opening up to that, she remains closed. And the guy then thinks, well, why don't women like me? Sometimes I talk to a woman for an hour, 2 hours or more, and she still doesn't want me. And what he's missing is just adding in some traits that actually make women feel sexually attracted, and flirting is just one of the traits. And by the way, before I give you the fifth reason why a guy will ask the question, why don't women like me? I just want to point out that if you've been enjoying this video so far, then you will love what I teach at Master Attraction. At Master Attraction, I teach you what to say and do to display more than 100 traits that make women feel sexually and romantically attracted to you. You can get results with women just by displaying the first 2 traits that you learn, and those 2 traits are confidence and emotional masculinity. But if you continue to learn, you will become increasingly confident and increasingly attractive to women, to the point where you literally become irresistibly attractive to women. And the members of my Master Attraction community have already been experiencing this. Here's just some of what members have said after learning from the first 2 lessons. A couple of members of the MAC, that's the Master Attraction community that you get access to when you're learning from the lessons, went out to meet women together, and this member had never picked up a woman before at a bar, but he did it the first night he went out, and he went home with her. Another member walked up to a woman on the beach and ended up kissing and cuddling with her in the water. Other members have been going out, meeting women and getting great results. Another member who had no confidence in himself and wasn't getting any results with women used the techniques from the first 2 lessons and ended up sleeping with his yoga instructor. And finally, another member went out and got multiple kisses and phone numbers in the one night. So number 5 on the list, why a guy will ask himself, why don't women like me? He lacks confidence around women he finds attractive, which then makes it difficult for those women to feel attracted to him and connect with him. So the thing is, it's much easier to form a romantic connection with a woman when you're open, easygoing, and lighthearted, rather than being serious, inward, or tense. And you don't need to be an extrovert or anything like that. Instead, just remember a time when you were interacting with a woman where you felt relaxed, laid back, easygoing, you had some confidence in yourself. If you remember back, you most likely were able to say what you wanted to say and show more of who you really are, right? Your true self. You're able to be yourself around the woman. But then remember a time when you're interacting with a woman that you found very attractive, and you'll most likely realize that you started to go inward. You started to feel very tense, and the interaction felt awkward, and the woman didn't feel attracted to you. She didn't feel drawn to you. The thing is, you're able to be both type of guys, right? The easygoing, laid-back version of you does exist, but what's missing is the confidence that you feel when you're not attracted to the woman, or when you feel like you're higher value than the woman, higher status than the woman because of the way that you think about yourself. But if you're interacting with a woman that you find attractive and you see her as being better than you, and you don't even know how to make her feel attracted, then it causes you to worry. It causes you to go inward. It causes you to feel insecure. You don't feel like you have much standing with her. You don't have much status, power, or value. And as a result, you worry about what you're going to say, right? You try to say the right thing. And it causes you to not be able to, quote unquote, be yourself around the woman. But the laid back version of you, the more relaxed, easygoing version of you that does believe in himself, that does exist. Yet, in order to bring that side of yourself out around a woman that you find attractive, you need to feel confident around her. You need to believe in yourself. So, another insight I can give you that will make you feel more confident around women that you find attractive is that most women are way easier to attract and pick up than they make themselves out to be. Personally speaking, I never used to know that. I used to think that the fact that women didn't really show me much interest and they weren't amazed when they were interacting with me and they weren't trying to get with me, that I just wasn't good enough for women. I just couldn't be the sort of guy that they wanted. I didn't understand why women didn't like me, why they didn't want me. But when I started displaying traits that made women feel attracted, That's when everything changed. And I quickly started to realize that most women are way easier to attract and pick up than they make themselves out to be, or that most guys assume they will be. Most guys assume that it's going to be very difficult. But as long as you display some attractive traits as you interact with her, rather than trying to get her to like you as a person, she then wants something to happen between you and her. So when you then shoot your shot, she happily starts kissing you, or she happily goes home and has sex with you. She happily starts dating you. So I can tell you from my personal experience that most women are way easier to attract and pick up than they make themselves out to be, and that most guys assume. But just don't expect them to really show a lot of interest in trying to get into a relationship with you, or make it really obvious that they want to sleep with you. Sometimes that will happen, but in many cases, the woman wants to be able to see that you're not going to run away and leave the interaction just because she isn't making it super obvious that she wants to kiss you, sleep with you, or get into a relationship with you. She wants to be able to see that you have the confidence to stay in the interaction and the interest in her to stay in the interaction. And if you're able to do that and display some attractive traits, then women feel attracted to you, they like you, and they want to be with you. So I hope that helps you understand that you're not an unlikable guy. I'm sure that there are many things about you that are likable, but if you want to get results with women fast, then just focus on making them feel sexually attracted to you. If you can do that by displaying some traits that make women feel sexually attracted to you, then she will naturally like you, she'll feel attracted to you and want you, and all you then need to do is shoot your shot, and then you and her will have an opportunity to be together. Guys all over the world are able to do this. It's not impossible. You've seen it yourself where you've wondered how on earth that guy got the girl, but just understand that it's not impossible, right? It's not something that you can't do. You can do this, and I hope this video has given you some confidence and inspiration and insight as to what you've been doing wrong and what you need to do to get the results you want.